Good morning, good evening, depending on where you're watching from. But this is the first time in a very long time that I've decided to bring back Miriam's Well, a, uh, a program that I had quite a number of years ago. And I decided it was time to return in a way. And since I'm going to be in America for Passover, and I decided that it's time that maybe we get to know each other again and we get to see each other again in the way we are today, instead of, let's see, I left America in 2008, so that's a long time ago. I think I want to begin with tomorrow, because tomorrow is the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau. Tomorrow is International Holocaust Memorial Day. And for the past 5 years here in Italy, I have created and run, thank God, very successfully, the national competition for poetry for the Shoah. And last year, after October 7th, I added peace. And the competition has grown immensely to very large proportions, with great difficulty from the Jewish community in Italy, that under no circumstances supports any of the work that I've done in the past 8 years that I live in Italy. But it's not about that. It's about the fact that we talk about anti-Semitism, and we talk about understanding why and where and how. And every year I go to schools, I go to learning institutions all over, and I speak to young people. I speak to children from about 9, 10 years old up to the age of 16, 17. And one thing that I've noticed, and one thing that I can tell you for sure, and one thing that is clear in my mind with all of the experience that I've had in a lot of years and living in many different places in the world, the situation is exactly the same. And the root cause of it all is ignorance. People, and it's always been this way, the only problem is we don't learn from our mistakes. And we don't learn from the things we should do, but we don't do, or we try to do them in the way that is expected of us. When Moses wanted to have a conversation with Hashem, and he said, "Why are you mistreating this people, you can ask yourself, where does he have the audacity to ask Hashem such a question? Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov never asked. They were told, they did, and that was it. Why does Moses have the intellectual approach instead of the emotional approach that the patriarchs had? Very, very, very interesting question, and very much important to the way we as Jews behave ourselves in the world. And I can tell you that no matter where I go and no matter what I do and in which class of people I hold conferences, the feeling of understanding and the opening of doors is always the same. When Hashem says, I will harden Pharaoh's heart. Pharaoh's heart is already heavy from all the mess and all the stuff that he did beforehand. So it's a heavy heart already. But now Hashem will harden it. Why will he harden it? He will harden it because he wants us and them, obviously, to know Ein od milvado, there is no one beside him. Why is it so important to him? He is what he is. Why is it important that we don't want to understand? They don't want to understand. They are us and we are them. And there is nothing new. In other words, what is happening today is precisely what was happening 3,000 years ago. The costumes are different. It looks different. Tesla, great airplanes, telephones, cell phones, space, all the same. A few days ago, I read an article about a group of archaeologists that found in the desert gigantic bodies, gigantic, long, 3 meters, 4 meters, bone structures, human, the whole skeleton, everything. That will change history. Why will it change history? The Torah speaks of Anakim. Go read. The Torah speaks of giants. When the spies came to look at the land, to spy out the land, what did they see? Giants. We are grasshoppers. What is so unusual? Everything is here. Everything is documented. Read Torah. You have a question, go read Torah. go ask the question of Torah. Go to a psychiatrist, and if he's a good one, and really understands, here, right here, is the answer. The Rebbe in Likutei Sichot, volume 31, says, what exactly is a spiritual redemption? What is Yetzias Mitzrayim? Yetzias Mitzrayim is a spiritual and a material redemption. The material, obvious. The spiritual is that for 200 years we were away. We knew something that there was and there is and there will be, but there was no real tight connection. And the Rebbe writes, the Alter Rebbe explains that this is the ability to serve God with total commitment to the extent that a person has no private agenda at all. This is impossible for a person to achieve this level unassisted. So long as the person is working on his own, everything he does is ultimately private agenda. Even if he will decide to become totally committed to God, it was his personal decision, and thus, in the final analysis, his private agenda. The minute God stepped into the picture and he told Moses, you and Aaron, the two of you, this is what you need to do. And you, Moses, don't give me this story about having blocked lips. Am I not the one who gave you lips? Am I not the one who gave you speech? Am I not the one who created? Where is the question? I am with you. You listen to what I have to say. You tell it over to Pharaoh. And Aaron, your brother, is going to be your translator. When Hashem reveals himself, and in actuality, Hashem reveals himself in everything that we do, and he reveals himself in every situation, and we do not only not accept, but we don't comprehend, or we don't want to comprehend, that in reality, every single solitary thing is orchestrated. That means when the frogs came, okay, I love frogs. So when the frog came out of the Nile, first thing you do, you try to kill it, obviously. A swarm, a country eats up into the house, into the intestine. Okay. Please, 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 please tell God, stop. I'll let you go. When God says to Moses from the beginning, from day one, I will harden his heart. The spiritual conversation is the beginning of all. Why? Because the mind controls the heart. And when the thinking is bad, the action will be bad. Rebbe says here, and so it will be with the true and complete redemption when we will be genuinely free to serve God, as the earth will be filled with the knowledge of Avaya, like water covers the seabed. What does this mean? When you walk down the street, do you raise yourself above the noise and above the dirt and above the negative influences that you see, and you look at this immense creation and you say to God, but how grateful am I that I woke up this morning and I see your handiwork. When Hashem talks about, I also established my covenant with them, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their temporary residence in which they lived as strangers. I also heard the moans of the children of Israel, and I remember my covenant. Therefore say to the children of Israel, I am God, and I will take you out from under the burden of Egypt, and I will save you from their labor, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great acts of judgment. I will take you as a people for myself, and I will be a God to you, and you will know that I am God, your God, who is taking you out from the burdens of Egypt. I will bring you to the land which I raised my hand and I swore to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and I will give it to you as a heritage. I am God. And Moses related this to the children of Israel. One ear in, out the other. Why? I want it now. If this is God, I want it now. Then he can do anything, and he can do it right now. Hashem says, not now. First, I have to show. And first, they have to understand who I am. And they have to accept that I am going to show them with deeds that they can see, that they can touch, that they can feel. When the staff of Aaron swallowed up the staffs of the magician, wow, but it's magic. When the locusts came, oh, please, please, stop. When the frogs invaded, oh, please, stop. When the wild beasts came, oh, tell your God we're the sinners. Not enough. Let my people go. The conversation was about 3 days to travel to Horeb, to Sinai, to make sacrifices to the God of the Hebrews. 3 days. Also, that wasn't acceptable. Why? Because you need to work. For me, I need to control who you are, what you eat, how you depend on life. Who gives you life? It's me. I am the Pharaoh. Who don't know? I don't know. You're God. Even though at this moment I see these things happening that are actually destroying my country, my world. And still, if we take Torah, and of course I do my Torah lessons in Italian every week. And when I came, I started with few, and now there are hundreds that are listening. Yesterday, just to give you an idea, because tomorrow is the competition, I have enormous amount of things to do, and I'm extremely emotional about it. But I decided that I wanted to do English today. I wanted to share with you. I wanted to open up that door again. And if you look on Facebook, there are 2 people who looked at last year's Vayera. Why? Because I'm not live. So if I'm not live, they don't bother. So here is a real incredible example. If I don't have the immediate gratification of seeing her live and watching live what is going on, it's not the same thing. I don't want it. I don't need it. So it's not about the value of the lesson. It's not the value about what Hashem says, what Hashem wants, how he wants it done, what the Rebbe is asking for. But it's a momentary thing. I have a momentary gratification. So it comes in and it goes out. The conversation of dialogue between God and Moses. Listen, I'm working, of course, with my Gutnik Chumash, which goes with me anywhere and everywhere in the world since the day it came out. Baruch Hashem, it has the commentary, it has Rashi, it has the Rebbe, and for me, it's really a piece of my nature. God spoke to Moses and said, I am God. I revealed myself to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. What does this mean? I revealed myself. They saw in Hashem's revelation to them with the name El Shaddai, they understood the greatness, and they understood the power, and they understood who Hashem was. If you can put any kind of idea, which is totally impossible, but if you can visualize inside yourself having this conversation with Hashem on your level, on my level, your life will change. Why? First of all, you're never alone. Never. I live alone. I fast alone. I eat alone. I make Shabbos alone. I don't miss a Shabbos under any circumstances. Everything is done as though I had a family, as though I had a shul. Where I am, I'm alone, completely alone. But my Pesach table is set for 6. Why? I have 6 neshamas around me. In other words, alone, I don't feel alone. I don't feel lonely. Why? Because my constant conversation, other than my students, other than teaching, other than conferences, other than my books, other than my poetry, other than so much going on all the time, but none of this means anything if I don't know, and if I don't feel, and if I don't understand, and if I don't accept, that all and every single solitary thing I do is guided and desired by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, by God. Know for sure inside your heart that when Hashem says, I will harden his heart, you look around you and see how many people around you in your life have hardened hearts. How many people in your life make you miserable and you did nothing to them? Hardened hearts. Why is Hashem doing it? Test. Everything he did to Abraham, to Yitzchak, to Yaakov, to Moses, to Aaron, to everyone, to you, to me, it's all about a test. It's all about what will it take before you finally get it. You know, when Hashem says to Moses and Aaron, and he commanded them about the children of Israel. Second reading. And he talks and names the families. And then he talks about the Levites. And he talks about why Moses and Aaron were actually chosen. And the Chachamim talk about Amram, Moses' father, Aaron's father, and Yocheved, mother, went against the fear, went against the edict, went against their knowledge that there was a chance, a good one, obviously. The edict was that it was going to be a boy and it was going to die. He was going to die. Okay. But even so, Moses came to the world with brilliance, with light, circumcised. He was good. He was good. I want you to understand that when you look at the world today and you look at your children and you look at our prisoners and you pray and we wait and we cry and we give money and we hope and we can't understand, but we understand, and somewhere deep down inside we know God has hardened his heart. Who's? The whole world. And God shows this to the world. All of the disasters that are happening, California, storms, North Carolina, anywhere in the world, there isn't a place in the world today where there are not enormous natural disasters. Global warming. Listen to this. I didn't want to say warning. I wanted to say warming. Okay. The truth of the matter is another. The truth is that Hashem is showing us that everything that you have, everything that is material, at the end of the day, people, is zero, nothing in comparison to a spark of fire that comes from Hashem. Hashem. You can call it anything you want. You can call it terrorism. You can call it setting fires. You can call it murder. You can call it brilliant. You can call it anything you want. At the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, it is the day that opens its doors by Hashem, and the night that closes its doors by Hashem. And everything in any moment of any day, of any action, of any happening, belongs, not to you, but belongs to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. There's a beautiful conversation here. Classic question. What was God's reaction to Moses' further complaint, I have blocked lips? What does this mean, blocked lips? In my work, obviously, lips are everything. And the truth about all of the voice. And if you read Zohar, you understand it in 1 second. The stupidity of what is being taught. The misery that is being put on young singers and voices because of the ignorance. And because you go along with the stream. Obviously, if everybody says, oh, it has to be that way, and everybody sounds like that, so it has to be that way. Nonsense. Nonsense. Destruction. Rashi says, God told Moses that he now made him master over Pharaoh, a judge and a ruler to rule over him with plagues and torture. God told Moses. He also told Moses that with each mission of relaying a message to Pharaoh, he would say the message only once, as he had heard it from Hashem's mouth. Then Aaron would interpret and explain the message to Pharaoh. What are we talking about? Hashem comes to the inner voice inside ourselves, deep and powerful in our mind's eye. We see, we hear, we know. There's a big difference. Moses accepted. And even though he complained, I have blocked lips, I can't speak, don't worry, your brother will speak. You say what I tell you, and then your brother will be the interpreter. I say what God tells me in the drop of consciousness that I have, but I have to share it. I have to give it. I have to pull it out of myself. I have to give others the opportunity to listen to what goes on and what is every single week the future of the world. We live every single week with the Torah. When Hashem says, take the children of Israel out of Egypt, it means precisely that. How can I do that? I have blocked lips. I can't speak. I babble. Don't worry. Do what I tell you, and I'll take care of the rest. I will harden Pharaoh's heart in order that I should increase my miracles and wonders in the land of Egypt. Pharaoh will not listen to you. I will lay my hand upon Egypt to strike them, and I will take my legions, my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt with great acts of judgment. When I stretch forth my hand over Egypt, the Egyptians shall know that I am God, and I will take the children of Israel out from among them. There is a conversation where it is written, do not allow them to be a part of your nation, because if you do, they will destroy you and search to destroy you in every generation. And now you can turn this around and you can say, and if you become part of their nation, eventually they will do the same. No matter where and no matter when in the 3,000 years of history, the Jewish people have lived, have done, have given, have produced, have enriched everywhere, every society, with art, with music, with intelligence, with every conceivable goodness. And the better they got, the worse their situation. Not because of anything other but ignorance. About a year ago, I was invited to a school, not a school, but almost university. Last year in Italy, liceo is pretty high level, and it was after October 7th, and I finished my lecture, I finished my conference, and a young man got up and he said, Professor Miriam, I want to ask you, what do you think about the situation with Israel and Gaza? Obviously, I know that this conversation will come up on a regular basis, obviously, no matter where I go, no matter what I do. So this was the first time. And I stopped. I took my moment and I said, Hashem, please give me the right words. And I said, I'm Jewish. I'm Orthodox. And since I'm Jewish, we have a way of being. We ask or we answer a question with a question. So here is my question to you. I extend my hand to you. you refuse it. I want to sit down with you and I want to talk to you about peace. You want to kill me. You want to annihilate me. You want to destroy me. You want to burn me. You want to rip me to shreds. You want to destroy the memory of me. Tell me, how would you like me to make peace with you? All the students just stood up and there were tears. And there we are. The Jews in Goshen suffered along with the Egyptians to a certain degree because Hashem wanted to show what will be the difference when he says, and now I will show you that there is a difference between you and my people. You will suffer and your animals will die and mine people won't. And even that did not work. Why? Not enough yet. The cup is not yet full. And Hashem writes in Torah that the time has not yet come for us to have the land. When he gives it to us, it'll be the time he gave it to us again in 1948. And now I ask you, and look at me and listen to what I'm saying, because I can say things that other people will not say to you, but I will. How can it be? How can it be that the land that Hashem promised us is infected and infiltrated and destroyed by exactly what he told us not to allow and bring into the land? How can the Garden of Eden subsist with the devil ruling and guiding? How is it possible that we as a people are looking to destroy politically that which God has given to us in order that we should keep his commandments? The conversation is extremely simple. The conversation is extremely open. The Torah takes nothing away from you, gives you everything, but takes nothing away, but says, you do it this way, you'll have everything you need. You don't do it this way. Don't you have enough examples in the Torah of what happens when you don't? Haven't you got enough Of course, if you don't look, and if you don't study, and if you don't have the minimal idea of what is going on and what is truth, and truth is sitting in front of you. But if you don't know what that is, then how can you know what Holocaust is? How can you know what 3,000 years of pain and trouble and sorrow and destruction is? How can you understand? How can you understand what it means to be a Jew? Why would it matter? After all, ignorance is bliss. Or is it? It took me to return to where I needed to be. I sold my soul. I did. Until after the death of my daughter. That's when I understood. And that's where I realized that my truth and who I was and what I was and how I was raised and what I got in my blood is truth of Torah. And no matter where I am in the world and no matter what I do, that's where I am. Nile, the god of Egypt, is hit. The deity of Egypt is hit. Frogs by the millions at the right time. Please stop. Okay, we'll stop. Lice, animals, mixture of wild animals, death of cattle through disease, humans infested, animals infested with boils. When will you realize? We just 2 years ago closed doors, COVID. I didn't read, I didn't hear a cry out to God. During the wildfires, I didn't hear a cry out to God. I don't hear that the Pope is crying out to God. I don't hear that the world of Judaism, the Rabbanut, except for very, very, very few, really top Yehudim, but the soul, like Rav Eliyahu, come out and they say and they speak the truth exactly the way it is. Yaron Ruven, Rav Mizrahi, those are people that are kiruf, that are tshuva, that are come back to who you are, and you will understand why what is going on around you is happening. It's very important to me, extremely important to me. To come back to America for a little while, to teach again my students, to share my new book, which just came out in English, in Italian. It's there is an Italian English edition, and I decided to bring it out only in English, so it would be easy and available on Amazon. It's called The Scream of the Soul. I would like to share it with you. I'll have a masterclass in Florida in April, right after Pesach, and I'm open to conversation, to go and to speak and to do. It's understood that I'm a Hasidah of the Rebbe of Lubavitch, of the Rebbe of Lubavitch, of the Torah of Lubavitch. And that is my guide. Tomorrow is a very difficult day. A day where '81 prizes for poetry were given, or I give, with an incredible jury that did an amazing job. Months of work without any, not one Jewish organization, not one penny of any Jewish organization, nothing. All invited, all informed, nothing. Really, just the opposite. Stop and don't do it. Well, if I stop and if I don't do it, I'll be just like everybody else. And for me, that simply doesn't work. My dears, Shavua Tov. We should see light. We should see peace. 5 years ago, I became the ambassador of peace for the Universal Peace Foundation in Italy. And I travel a lot. Peace comes from one source. And the more we connect to that source, the more peace we will have inside and outside. Bachot, benediction to everyone. May the world open its heart for 6 million souls and all of those of the past and all of those we've lost of our children today. Seid gesund. Be well. Shalom.